Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So as you all know, today is Tuesday. We are getting the markets to see the markets picking up on volatility. And of course, from the economic calendar, we'll be expecting a lot more events than yesterday. And as we progress with the week, we'll be getting to witness even more volatility. And what this means is that there will be more opportunities to trade in the financial markets. So once you join in, kindly say hi on the live comment section, and this will confirm that everything is working just fine. So first things first, we know that yesterday, the European Forum on Central Banking started. And once the forum started, it began with a speech from the ECB President, Christine Lagarde. And of course, she will be issuing another speech tomorrow. So this remains the key focus on the markets today. So this is an annual event. Apologies, just a moment. So this is an annual event. It's basically called the ECB Forum on Central Banking. It's organized by the European Central Bank, or what you call the ECB, and it's usually held in Sintra, Portugal. It brings together central bank governors, academics, financial markets representatives, journalists, and others to exchange views on current policy issues and discuss the forum's key topic from a longer-term perspective. So in this year, there will be a special theme. It will be titled Macroeconomic Stabilization in a Volatile Inflation Environment. So it runs from Monday, which is yesterday, through to Wednesday. And in between, there are key speakers that are expected to be speaking on the event. And some of the key highlights include the US Fed Chair Jerome Powell, Bank of England Governor Bailey, and so many others, including the Vice President of the Bank of Canada. So investors are following closely on these events, mainly as a result of the key questions that will be raised to these top leaders of world central banks and how they will be responding to those questions. So that's why if you check the economic calendar right now, you'll notice that going through to tomorrow, we just highlight this. We started with a speech with ECB President Lagarde. She'll be having another speech today at 11 a.m. So it has already started. MPC member Tenreo, Governor Council member Koziki for Canada. And of course, a majority of the professors of economics will be speaking today, but the key guests will be making their presentation tomorrow. And this includes another speech by ECB President Lagarde, BOE Governor Bailey, Bank of Japan Governor Ueda, and of course the Fed Chair Powell. So all these speeches will be happening tomorrow, and there's a good chance we will be seeing some good volatility coming out of that. So it makes more sense for any trader and investor out there to follow up on the speeches to see the progressions, and if there's key highlights or changes, then you can react to that in the markets. So besides the ECB Forum on central banking, we have had quite a number of data in the early morning. BRC shop price index from the UK came in at 8.4%, indicating that prices are going down. Then the consumer price index for Japan, that is core CPI, came in at 3.1% as projected, a little bit higher than the previous reading of 0%. So if you are to use a line here, you notice that since 2021, inflation has been on the rise on Japan. And for them, it's not a problem. It's something they've been working to achieve since the Japanese economy has been fighting deflation for quite a period of time. So seeing positive inflation has been positive for them, but now it has surpassed the Bank of Japan target. So in this case, we'll be following up to see Kazuo Ueda's reaction during the speech on the ECB Forum. So we know that right now, a speech from the ECB President Lagarde is continuing. There will be a speech from Tenreo. This is from 11:30 a.m. And of course, it's still within the ECB Forum. Then Koziki for Canada. This will be happening at 12:30, still at the ECB Forum. And the first actual data that we will be expecting for the day will be at 3:30 p.m. And this is when we will be expecting the consumer price index data for Canada, where in the previous month, there was a big spike of 0.7%, which influenced the Central Bank of Canada to hike interest rates by a surprise 25 basis points. So in this case, if the number comes at around 0.4% or below, then there will be calm in the markets as people will not be expecting the Bank of Canada to hike interest rates. But then if there's a big surprise like last time and inflation jumps higher by something like 0.7%, then the market could begin pricing in another rate hike. And that would mean a much stronger Canadian dollar against other currency pairs. So a strong number would mean a positive performance of the Canadian dollar. And of course, a weak number would mean a weaker Canadian dollar. So besides these, for US, we'll be looking at core durable goods orders, which are expected to experience 0.0% change from the previous month. There will be durable goods orders. It's expected to slow down to negative 0.8%. And of course, CB leading index at 4 p.m. So this will be Chinese data. It's an indicator of business conditions. Then housing price index for the US, pretty important to see how housing prices are moving in the US. Then S&P CS Composite, housing price index year over year. Very also key important measure of the housing sector in the US. And then at 5 p.m., I think we'll have some more volatility coming into the markets as we expect the CB. This is the Conference Board Consumer Confidence Survey. So this one will show you how optimistic Americans are into their economy. And of course, if it's bad, then it will be pessimistic. Then we look at our new home sales data at the same time. And of course, the Richmond Manufacturing Index. And these data points are bound to increase volatility in USD pairs. Of course, the USD equity indices, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, as well as the S&P 500. And once we go through this tomorrow very early in the morning, we will be waiting for CPI coming from Australia. So in the previous reading, inflation in Australia was 6.8%. So we will be looking at this number closely to see whether inflation is actually easing. But if it's getting entrenched and it's getting higher than that, then the Reserve Bank of Australia may have to go for a stronger rate hike, which would be very positive for the Australian dollar against other currencies. So with that in mind, we know what to expect for the day. So it makes more sense to now look at the technical charts and of course understand what to be watching today. So as I've been mentioning, for gold, it has been moving relatively downwards, but more or less over sideways momentum over the past couple of weeks. And now, if you look at the price action from last week through to today, then you'd notice that from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, and today being Tuesday, the market is just trading within a triangle, moving down and then up, down, up, with each swing getting smaller and smaller. And this is a price action trader's paradise. You don't want to participate inside the triangle. It's always a better chance to trade when the market makes a breakout. So the breakout could either happen towards the upper side or towards the lower side. So you have to be quite vigilant, just observe the price action and wait until it breaks either of these two trend lines. So if the price breaks to the upper side, then we look for bullish positions. And of course, if it breaks to the lower side, then we look for short selling positions. So that's gold. For oil, if you look at US oil, I wouldn't say it's doing much. I would say the particular chart is just making sideways momentum. So since yesterday, we can say this has been the extreme prices on the upper side. So the high on Monday, high on Tuesday. And of course, on the lower side, you can see there's some form of consolidation happening here. So it looks more or less like an inverted flag. So if this was our flagpole here, then the market made a very good impulse movement and then entered into a consolidation. And then through this, we will be looking for some form of breakout. So it's even more clearer if you do it on a 15-minute chart And you can see the way the market is moving in a directionless manner. So a breakout would create the right opportunity to go for a position. So I think for Brent oil, it would be something similar. So if you go to the 15-minute chart, you notice it's the same thing. So if this is our upper trend line on the 15-minute chart, then the lower trend line goes through this path around here. And it seems like the market has been following this path. So oscillations in between. So eventually we will be expecting to see a break. And once the break happens, then there will be our trading opportunity. So these are also an inverted kind of flag or pennant. So for USD CNH, we are seeing the Chinese yuan begin to strengthen, as there are cases that the Chinese government is trying to manipulate the currency and support the strength of the yuan. This is new from this morning. So if you go to financial news, this is the summary of the Asian session. So by maintaining its daily reference rate for the controlled currency at a higher than anticipated level for a second day, China made another move to halt the yuan's decline. So we can see the footprint of the People's Bank of China attempting to support the yuan, since it has been largely declining against the dollar. And of course, we are seeing this happening. So Beijing earlier this year established a 5% economic growth target for China for 2023, and it's on track to meet that goal. Today, Premier Li Qiang remarked, he also cautioned against world disintegration. Of course, this is in regards to the Wagner Group situation that happened in Russia. So besides this, we didn't have much happening in the Asian session. So in this case, I think the only key highlight is that early in July, the US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen will travel to Beijing for her first high-level economic discussions with her new Chinese counterpart, according to persons familiar with the itinerary. So this travel will be very important. Of course, investors will be following closely, try and understand what's in there for them. So now that we know that China is manipulating its currency, then it makes sense to start now pricing in a potential pullback in the exchange rate between the USD and the Chinese yuan. So we have already seen the first pullback happen early this morning, and perhaps there will be further continuation back downwards. So as for the majors, if we start with the dollar index, clearly it was a good surprise run happening Thursday and Friday last week. But Monday and Tuesday doesn't seem at all very convincing. So what we are seeing here is a market that is attempting to go back down, but doesn't seem to have as much fuel to keep it going. So it's getting slower and slower. And it's basically an indication that there is very low or little or no volatility in this market. So if this is what's happening with the dollar index, then we might be also expecting the same to be happening in other pairs as well. So for pound USD, I think now we are seeing an expanded chart here. So if you are to use this as our resistance, and of course the support managed to hold very well yesterday. So we can all see the sharp pin bar and long tails to the lower side, indicating rejection of lower prices. So the market went all the way up, go to the upper trend line, is now pushing back downwards. So the key thing to notice now is that with this kind of pattern happening in the chart, in the last swing, the market was unable to form a lower low. So in this kind of formations, you expect every high to get lower and every low to get lower. But in the most recent swing here, we didn't get a lower low. And of course, even early in the morning, we didn't get to a lower low, which basically implies that the market is losing momentum to the downside. And we are seeing the pound make an impressive rally to the upper side. So for today, the market has already rejected the upper trend line. So we could be seeing the market pull back downwards. But now there's no expectation that the market will go all the way down to the lower trend line. So we just work with yesterday's low. So this is a potential play for the day. And I think it's the same case for Euro USD. Euro USD in this case didn't do the same. So what you are seeing in Euro USD is a resumed confidence that the euro is pretty strong against the dollar. So after Friday's evening, we have seen Monday being a relative quiet day, but Tuesday seems to be strongly bullish. So now we might start looking at the previous resistance levels as nice targets for Euro USD traders. So in this case, a good chance we'll be seeing 1.09691 being a nice target for the day. And of course, if it proceeds past this, then we look at 1.1005. So of course, the market could eventually pull back. So among the key price levels, you might want to consider, especially if you are a stop loss person that keeps the stop loss away from support, then the area to be thinking about is 1.08909. So this was the support yesterday, and of course it was the support some time back. So now if the market was to come back, then this would be around the invalidation point. But of course, everything is pointing upwards. So there is a good chance we'll continue to see the euro continue to rally. So we are seeing a similar thing happening here. This is USD CAD. It was on a bearish channel, but from what I'm seeing here, it's more or less like the channel is losing momentum and turning to be what looks like a bearish wedge. So this is what we have now. Market that is continuously losing momentum. So if I was to zoom out here, you notice the sharp momentum that the market has been following downwards. But now it seems like this bearish momentum is weakening, and the dollar could at some point start gaining against the Canadian dollar. So from the H1 chart, you can see that it's already forming a new trend line that is weaker than the previous one. This is more declined, and this is more inclined. So now we are seeing the market bouncing from around this area, and perhaps we'll be seeing some further upside happening in USD CAD currency pair. Of course, it's about to test yesterday's low and of course Friday's lows around 1.31405. But of course, if it breaks that area, then there's a good chance we'll be seeing the market retesting yesterday's high somewhere around 1.31787. So as for USDN, bullish momentum. So yesterday we said, once you see bearish momentum, you start looking for weakness, and we continue trading higher until we have evidence of the Bank of Japan intervening in the markets. So for now, the thesis remains the same. I expect the USD to continue rallying against the yen. So of course, yesterday's target was on Friday's high. So you are looking to trade backwards and target this area here. So eventually there was an opportunity here. Market went up, didn't quite get to the target. So today is getting to the target, and perhaps you'll be breaking that level and moving even higher. So the last time we saw the price trading at that area, I think this was around 27th June last year. So of course, with this kind of turnaround, we expect some further upside happening in US dollar against the Japanese yen. So on the next part, we'll be looking at Australian dollar trading against the US dollar. So after having seen this break, the market has been pretty consistent, moving downwards. So yesterday, we saw the market moving further down, on Friday, we broke this level. Today, seems like the market started bullish, got to this resistance, which we identified from here, and now it's pulling back downwards. So for a short intraday trade, there's a good chance we'll be seeing the market get to the previous low, and this is a level around 0.66626. So here you can see the strong rejection of that level around 0.67168 and the sharp drop towards this area. So as for US equity indices, I think we already looked at this. So pretty nice bounce from this area here. So after the market go to this particular trend line, we are seeing the continuation happening. So there is a good chance we will be seeing the market continue to rally back upwards, as we still don't have a clear direction. So it's the same thing happening here on US 500. So if I go to objects, then channels, you'll notice this happening here. So this has been the natural progression of the US 500. So every time it gets to each extreme, then we identify trading opportunities. So of course, in this case, we'll be observing for when the S&P 500 gets to the upper trend line. And if you are an intra-channel trader, then this might interest you. So the moment the market gets to the upper trend line, we expect resistance and the market goes back downwards, unless something happens fundamentally. But for this one, it seems to have bottomed. So perhaps we will be looking at the market, finding a nice bottom around this area here. So the overall direction for a linear regression channel seems to be this one. So the market has actually hit a pretty nice bottom, and we could be seeing the market continue to rally higher. And of course, the the horizontal resistance rise at 14,974. So for the Dow, it was a nice attempt to move higher. But now what we are seeing here is a rejection of higher prices. So yes, there was a breach of this particular trend line happening early this morning. But from the price action candlesticks here on H1, it's an indication of a rejection, and there's a good chance we'll be headed back down. And of course, the previous low is somewhere around 33,605. So perhaps we'll be seeing some further downside happening here towards this area. So that's it for today. Thank you very much, guys. I'm just checking to see if there's any questions. So hi Trapsked, hi Philip, Vandy, Ochieng, Kennedy, Malombe, Nicholas, thank you guys, Adesio and Musioki. I'm getting a very interesting question here. If I'm always free on Sunday and I want to attend meetings, how can you help me? We always record these sessions. So if you want to get into some of the sessions that you missed over the week, then they will be available on YouTube. So just visit the FX Pesa YouTube and you'll find all the recordings you've done for the week. Hi, Elijah. Hi, Saida Patrick. Thank you, guys. So that's it for the day. And of course, remember to be quite vigilant, practice proper risk management. And of course, these sessions are not investment advice. How often are these sessions? They run daily from Monday to Friday with the exemption of public holidays. So every day, just go to your FX Pesa YouTube channel at 11 a.m. and you'll get to participate in a very nice update called a market snapshot, telling you what's happening in the markets and what to expect for the day. So thank you guys, and I hope to see you on the next session.